The smartest guys around are about to break it down like they've won the game a million times.
Well, actually, they didn't really win the game at all.
Survivor no way knows. Survivor no way knows. Steven and Rob without it down. Got the game all figured out. They know it all.
Yeah, that's right. We know it all. Unlike many of the Survivor 49 players, we know it all. That's right.
Everything going
Steven
wrong.
Fishbach.
Whoa, hello.
Yes.
Rob, is it time to bring
Dos
back?
leches.
I'm lactose intolerant. That would not work for me.
Yeah.
With lactate. Dos lactate.
Yes.
Is it time to bring back a loved one's visit?
So, that was not my takeaway from the episode, but maybe for 50.
I feel like, the loved ones episode used to be a real emotional moment.
Yeah.
And it was so humanizing. You would see these people interacting with their loved ones who they miss so much. You'd get like a little bit of context for who they are based on, seeing these relationships fleshed out. Jeff would ask insane questions like, the thing about being a brother is that you're not a father or a sister. And it was so great, so humanizing, so emotional. And then the letters is not quite there.
You didn't get a lot. I actually thought they did a good job with
I
the
got a
letters
little
tonight.
teary with Rizzo specifically.
I thought Rizzo and even Sophi B. I thought that, or the Sophie.
Yes,
I thought that
Sophie,
they had emotional moments. So,
but it's like you're reading a letter and they're telling you why they're emotional. It's not the same. Like, this was so emotional for me. It's like, it's like a lot of like show don't tell. They got rid of the loved one visit because of COVID quarantines. It's time. Bring it back.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about all of that and so much more. There was a lot to unpack from this episode because I will say that I think that this might have been the time that I, the viewer, was the most legit blindsided in I can't even remember. I think that maybe not since Gabler won season 43 was I just that the outcome happened and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I would not, if you would have asked me, like, bet your money, like, I would have said, okay, this is what is going to happen at this tribal council. And I did not have that at all, that Steven was going home at this tribal council. Maybe I missed it. Let's talk it through. Of course, I'm very excited to get the chance to talk with Steven coming up on Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. And then I will also be having an interview with somebody who always has hot takes, polarizing opinions. Going to talk with Shaheen from season 48 to break it all down. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about this. Steven, how are you?
I'm good. I'm well. It's wonderful to be here today.
Yeah.
I think this was the best episode of the season. I actually felt going in like I truly did not know which way this was going to go. Like my heart was thumping in a way it hasn't thumped all season long. Because not to be spoilery here, in fact, not at all to be spoilery here. But knowing who from this cast is on 50, a lot of the episodes have been like they've kind of like manufactured this drama, but you knew. But now we're at the final 6. You could be eliminated 6th place and still make it on 50. So I thought, I don't know what's going to happen. And then there was a lot of mystery about, I still wasn't sure if Sophie was going to, Sophie was going to take Rizzo's idol. I thought there was a chance she would do that because it was so clearly the right move.
Not only did I think that there was a chance, I thought it was definitely happening. I thought all day. I really came into this episode tonight feeling like a little bit of that, going back to Survivor 43 again, that I felt like that tonight was going to be like when Jesse betrayed Cody. I thought it was the whole season was coming down to this, where here you have Sophie, who has the knowledge is power, and she has these 2 allies that she's been talking about in the episodes for the last couple of weeks. I've got to make my move. I gotta take my shot. Rizzo and Savannah, I can't beat them, but I have this game-winning move that I can make, and I felt like it was all leading up to this. And there was talk, I got to make my big move. And then we see her go, get selected for the reward. And Savannah picking her might have been a game-winning move. Potentially, we might look
$1
back
million
at that.
tacos right there. Like, actually, like, potentially $1 million tacos. Like, listen, I've been on some of those rewards. I have formed deep bonds. But when, you get to the nitty gritty, as they say, you have got to be able to go past that and make the move that is best for your game. Even apart from the fact that this blew up with not having, Steven's advantage already being spent, still disastrous for her to do that. Like, that was her going to be the signature move. That could have been her signature move. I get it. You're out there. Those bonds feel very real. You just had this extremely emotional experience all reading your loved ones' letters together. But, oh gosh, how heartbreaking. How heartbreaking as a viewer. I was literally screaming at my screen when she said, well, now that Savannah's taken me in reward, I'm not going to blindside her, or not going to.
And it was talked about, the people that didn't go on the reward were saying, well, she was going to work with us. You don't think that her going on the reward, it's like, that's not going to, that she's a killer. So she's not going to be swayed.
Yeah.
She's not
now
I think steal a vote.
And I feel like now we got Soph as a final tribal loser. I've been saying that PS that her edit was very much that like character who is really big pre-merge and then kind of fades into the background of the merge. But such a tense tribal council for all those reasons.
And I don't know if hope is completely lost in thinking about it. Like, because instantly I was like, you all blew it. But I will say that there is, if Sophie and Sage and Christina feel like, hey, we have a final 3. I bet Sage feels really good about that final 3. Sophie probably feels pretty decently about that final 3. If they were able to swing at 5 and do that, however, Rizzo still has his idol, and Savannah is probably going to win immunity now that Steven's not there. So it's like Sophie might be left holding the bag of, I was going to flip on them, but now I didn't have a chance to. And then Christina or Sage gets voted out, and then whoever, we have the final 4 fire making, and then yada, yada, yada. It does not feel like that this is headed towards Sophie winning the game.
I think it's hard to come back from such a sad trombone moment like that in front of the whole jury. You're like, I have got, all the theatrics around it too. I've got something, you got to be careful with me. And then for it to just, be totally deflated. And of course, like, obviously she didn't end up going home there, but I do think at that point, and that's actually a big part of the reason I kind of think Sage made the right choice here.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Let's discuss. I'm curious if you're of the same opinion. Because at this point, Sophie is like her win equity just like evaporated, like she's already number 3 to Rizzo and Savannah. And now she's just kind of like publicly had this like moment of being ineffectual. I wouldn't vote her out with 2 votes left, 2 people left to vote out in the game. I don't think I would, not even 2 people, right? 1 person left to vote out of the game, 2 eliminations left in this game. I would, and if you are, well, I'll talk about it more, but where are you on this Sage? I mean, should we just jump right in and talk about Sage?
Let's jump right in. And I felt like that this was a comedy of errors tonight. I felt like after watching the episode that this is farce. They're all making either misinformed decisions or outright bad decisions. Every single person is wrong about something in this episode. And then we end up with an outcome that the players themselves like did not see. No one that was there foresaw how this tribal council was going to unfold. So I'd love to talk it through. You want to talk about it from Sage's perspective. It seems like to me, Sage has had this bizarre shift to me in her character, where she has somehow gone from she is heart first, I'm voting out the people I don't like, to now somehow Sage only looks at the game through the lens of who is the biggest threat? Who is the person here that can beat me? Friends, what is that? I don't play the game with my heart. I am only looking at resumes of, are you working with me? Yes, but do you have a better resume than me? Then you have to go. What happened to Sage?
But that seems like the correct trajectory of your game. Like when you are in that early merge place where she did kind of form those bonds, that's when you're thinking, who am I tight with? Who am I close with? Who's going to work with me for the rest of this game? Where are my real loyalties versus like, who do I want out? Who can I not work with? Who do I not like? And therefore, who can I not align with? Here at the final 6, the correct thinking is, who's going to beat me? What is my optimal final 3? How do I, like, at every single vote, optimize my chance to win? And that's why I think, like, I'm so impressed by Sage, because she was such an emotional player. She, but to see her make that growth from like, I'm making these somewhat, emotionally driven decisions to like what is clearly a purely strategic choice here, I think is really strong. And I think it's the right choice for her, because if you're looking at this field, right, there's 6 players left. There are 3 players who I think Sage realistically thinks would beat her. She definitely thinks Steven would beat her. She says that. She probably is aware that Savannah would beat her and that Rizzo would beat her. So there's 3 eliminations here, and there's only like 3 eliminations left in the game. If she's wasting an elimination on Sophie, then that's a potentially game-losing move. And again, like, especially right after Sophie has this like big deflating moment, to vote her out there when she's not really your competition to win. Now, I agree, it's very likely that Sage loses, or Sage doesn't make it to Final Tribal because of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's keeping intact this trio. This trio wants to ride to the end. Sage being out 5th is a totally viable scenario, and it might be because of what she did here. That said, if Sage is playing to win and there's 3 people who can beat her in 3 eliminations, she has to push at every one of those eliminations to get out someone who can beat her.
Yeah, first off, really great points about Sage, and you're making me look at her in a way that I wasn't necessarily looking at her at the end of this episode. You're absolutely right that she has a very specific win condition in the game right now. At this point in time, her win condition is, I need to sit in the end with Christina and Sophi B.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only chance I have to win. So for her, I guess it's like, yeah, what do I care if Steven is like, I can't beat him. Like, it doesn't matter if it's Steven or Rizzo or Savannah. As long as one of those 3 people goes home today, it's a good day.
Yeah. And obviously better Rizzo or Savannah for her, because like Steven would help. I mean, obviously, like, Steven was probably the best chance to beat Savannah at an immunity challenge. Steven probably would bring Sage, one step further in the game. I think Steven was probably her best bet to last past the final 5. But, you kind of still hope that if Savannah doesn't win immunity at final 5, which honestly, she probably will, looking at the field right now, that everyone will be smart enough to vote for her. Rizzo's going through because he's got his idol. But, if Savannah doesn't win, and I would make that bet, right? Take out someone who I know is going to beat me, and hope that the rest of the 4 of us can beat this one other person for this one day.
So the plan was better based off of the information that Rizzo had proliferated, which was, I found my idol in the pre-merge, and so it expires at the final 6. I cannot believe that this worked. That Sage said, wait, your idol is still good to the final 5? You little turd. It's like, yeah, that's how the hidden immunity idol works. That's not a thing that the hidden. So this was like, I've compared Rizzo to Tony a couple of times, but for him to be able to manufacture this idea of the idol expiration date being earlier than it actually was, I can't believe he got away. He can't keep getting away with it. And he did.
And isn't there anybody else there who could fact check him on that? Like, who else has had an idol? I guess like Soph would have seen Alex's idol. Like, who else had an idol?
She doesn't necessarily remember. Well, and it's unclear
Christina,
if
when was
Soph
Christina's
knew,
idol from?
if she knew that Rizzo is lying. So I don't know. She may have known that was not true.
We did see Rizzo saying to Soph and Savannah that, like, they still think my idol's expires.
Okay.
But like, he must have said something so early in the game that everyone was thinking, well, this is not going to be relevant at the final 6 or final 5. Like, why would he lie about that? That's in 2 weeks, So if he's saying it so early, that's really smart as a way to lay the groundwork. I mean,
I think that's been such a big part of his game, of this idea of implicit immunity, of so many times that people are like, well, he has an idol, so we can't vote for him. And he figured out a way to, okay, at the time, we know he's going to play it at 6 because that's when well, no, actually, we'll get him at 5 because and that might have been what people were thinking of. Like, okay, there will be that round and we'll all just vote out Rizzo at 5. Deal? Okay, great. And that he was able to figure out this loophole, but I can't believe it worked.
Yeah, it's really wild that
they only put super fans on the show.
Listen, I mean, the rules change so constantly. Like, it's not crazy that someone
but
would
this has been the rule that
Yeah.
the idol is good until 5 since, I mean, I don't know where Jordan Kalish is or Rob's fact checker. I think that this has been the rule going back to Survivor Fiji.
Yeah. Yeah. So look,
and Tony was able to famously tell people like, oh, because my idol is this is a super idol, I'm able to go to the final 4 with it.
Yeah, right. And so nobody even bothered, which was inspired of him. And I think that like laying the groundwork early for that kind of move, I think that's why it sells, right? It's because like if he was saying that today, he'd be like, oh no, this is good next tribal council or something, or sorry, this is only good for this tribal council. Maybe people would be more skeptical of it.
Mhm.
But if he was saying that, 5 episodes ago, then people are thinking like, yeah, okay, like I believe that. And it has enough time to like work its way into people's brains. And especially when people are constantly distracted by the next threat, they're, I'll worry about that then. Like that's far away from now. That's not going to be relevant.
Okay. Let's dig into Sophie and the knowledge is power decision, because I think that this is really the thing that we're going to look back at as what might have been, okay? Because she has this opportunity where nobody's going to see it coming, and she has the chance to steal Rizzo's idol, and also she has to vote out Rizzo also.
Right.
And she could have made that move. I don't know. It seems like that her thought process was either steal Steven's advantage and get through this round, or steal Rizzo's idol and play it on myself.
Right.
That seemed like those were her 2 options of what she was going to do. I don't know. It seemed like that the idea of taking his idol and also voting out Rizzo was not even on the table for her.
Which seems like, I mean, honestly, I don't think there's a pro and a con to that, right? The reason that you would take Rizzo's idol and vote Rizzo out is because Rizzo is going to be extremely incentivized at that point to vote you out of the game, not just out of revenge, but because you don't want to sit next to the person who like publicly humiliated you, right? You have to get rid of that person in order to like feel like you have a real shot at winning the game. So there would be a very strong strategic impetus to Rizzo if she didn't vote him out, to him voting for her at the next tribal council. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why the third option here was never discussed of taking Rizzo's idol, voting out Rizzo, and not playing it on herself, since she does seem to know that it's valid for the next tribal council. Like, that is the move. Then she's in final 4 with this incredible resume.
Was the idea of Steven being the biggest jury threat just like just like ubiquitous among the players that is like, well, why would I vote out Rizzo? We still have Steven here, and then Steven's going to win the game. I need to still vote with Savannah and Rizzo to get Steven out if I do that. And
what if she did that, right? That would be still a good move. Take Rizzo's idol.
All right, let's
vote
talk
out
it through.
Steven.
Okay, she stands up and says, because I thought she was going to do it. I thought it was like, wow, what this was like this was beautiful. And then she starts saying like, I know how hard you work to earn it. I was like, yeah, you go, Sophie. And then just like, Steven, do you have an advantage? What are you doing?
See, when she said, I know how hard you work to earn it, I was like, oh, it's Steven. Because like it was all the whole thing about his.
But I thought she was doing the old like Seacrest fake out. And no, it was not a fake out. But okay, so let's say she stands up, she plays, I'm going to take Rizzo, do you have your idol? And the jury, faces are melting. And okay, now she has Rizzo's idol. And then they go to vote. And then it would have been what? And they blocked Savannah's vote. So it would have been 4-1 on Rizzo to vote out Rizzo if she had wanted, assuming that Christina and Sage would have gone with the plan, which we don't know. Rizzo goes home, but okay. But I want to talk through. Okay, what's the next round look like? Savannah is pissed. But do people say, oh, well, now we have to vote out? As long as she didn't, but if she didn't play the idol on herself at that tribal council, now she's safe at 5.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the move, right? That's the optimal move, right? And of course, like, it's so much easier. We didn't eat those tacos. We didn't have that tres leches. We don't know how much those mean to her. But and like, obviously,
but what
that's
about
the optimal
Nana?
move.
She said to do it.
Yeah. You can talk yourself into anything, but so it does seem like the optimal move then would be for her to play the idol on herself at 5.
Yeah.
Let's say Savannah wins immunity, because there's every reason to think that's the case, and then they can vote out. So either the next tribal council, they either vote out Steven or Savannah, right? Whoever's not immune,
and one of them's getting to 4.
Yeah. And we don't know. Do we know people's fire making skills? Like, do we have any insight?
We don't have any sort of insight into that. You know what I was thinking about earlier was that Steven getting the advantage. If Steven goes and like loses his vote, and there's a chance that maybe because of Steven without a vote, does he end up being a target? But I still think that they go for Sophie, yellow Sophie at that last tribal council. Steven doesn't have a vote. It ends up being 5-1 for yellow Sophie. Now, there's no other advantage to steal.
Right. So
right. I mean, what is she just going to like? Wow. Well, tonight was I had knowledge is power. Everybody.
Right.
It was the last night, but Rizzo, that's my guy.
Wow.
I can't do anything.
I love this take.
Steven, I believe by going and winning the advantage and somehow losing the game, you can do everything right, and still it doesn't work out.
That's wild. That's a really good take, because you're probably right. She would have felt so much pressure to play it, and with nothing else in the game, she has to take Rizzo's
That's
idol.
my only move. I don't want to. It's like, Rizzo, I'm sorry, but this is the only idol that's here. I have to take it.
But she might have then still voted out. I feel like in that world, she still potentially votes out Steven. It's like, well, we're still buddies. Let's go for Steven.
Okay,
here.
But then she has an idol that's like, okay, she has knowledge of power. She took Rizzo's idol. It's like, now I'm safe at 5. And now she has more options to be able to flip to go with Christina and Sage. And then she might be feeling like, hey, Christina, Sage, and me in the final 3, like, I'm looking pretty good. Like, I made that big move. I took Rizzo's idol was the story of the season. And I ended up taking it.
I think that's her game winning. That would have been her game winning moment. Like,
yeah.
And when you wonder, like, if she's sitting next to Savannah there at final 3, is she, but like, then, is Savannah good at fire making? Like, I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like that's not going to be her strength.
It's unclear. I could see it going either way. I mean, Savannah is so interesting as a player. And I think that the combination of Rizzo and Savannah has been one of the more interesting pairings in Survivor history, because we've had so many great duos, of course, for all the way back from Rich and Rudy and Malcolm and Denise and Steven and Rob. And so there's been so many great duos that we've seen throughout the history of the show. But this is such an interesting complementary skill set. And I was trying to think about that you have Savannah, who, with all due respect to Savannah, incredibly icy competitor, would not want to mess with her in any way. Social game, not her strength.
What's funny is at the start of the season, that actually seemed to be her strength. Like, she was the nexus of that Uli group, but like post-merge, everyone's like, I do not like Savannah.
I think that she has like an aura of that she is like you want to be on her side. I think that, and I think that people like do gravitate towards that. But in terms of like winning people over, that has not been her strength. Then you have Rizzo, who has been this like incredibly masterful negotiator, operator, coming up with all sorts of schemes, and that his social game pretty good, but like just he has like some next level strategies, and they have such incredible loyalty towards each other, where it has really been a very mutually beneficial relationship for the both of them. I was trying to think if there's another duo like this. And I was thinking about like Parvati and Suri, especially when we saw them in Australian Survivor. But I think that Parvati has the ability to like turn on the charm and bring people in under her spell a bit more. and Suri is not necessarily like as much like galaxy brain like strategy. Like Suri knows strategy, but she's not necessarily doing like all of these like Rizzo. He's so loose. And I think that this comes from years and years and years of playing in like these ORGs where he's trying stuff that nobody else would have the audacity to try in a real Survivor game. But, you know, you play these games online, people are probably doing crazier things than this.
Although you got to say, I mean, Suri came up with probably the biggest galaxy brain move of all time.
I know this is gonna sound like a disrespectful take towards
no,
Suri.
but I mean,
that's
like,
not,
I do
that's
think
not
there
my
is
intention.
that element of, you know, Parvati has a little bit of mean girl energy. No disrespect to Parvati. I mean, I feel like that's like part of her appeal. You know, it's like that they're the cool girl. Like, I want to hang out with a cool girl.
Cool girl energy. Yes.
Yeah, cool girl. And that's sort of actually what Savannah has.
Let's
too.
rebrand it.
I think that's, I mean, to Savannah's credit in terms of her social game, she has secured her core three, right? Like she was the one who brought Sophie in.
Yeah,
she brought Rizzo in.
That so some of the other like really strong players gravitated towards her in the game, where Shannon wanted to work with her, Sophi B wanted to work with her, Yellow Sophie at times wanted to work with her. So, and
I think like with Sage too. I mean, like I think Sage was in that too and felt that sort of like rejection almost. And I think that's where some of that animosity comes from, is that sense of like, I was not allowed to be in the cool contingent, you know? And I think that's where some of that animosity is.
But I guess their greatest strength has been their game devotion to one another, where you had that scene in the episode where, and that Christina, she's doing her best. Okay. She's out there. She's gone through a lot. Okay, take it easy, everybody, with piling on Christina.
Christina's making it to the final three, Rob. So
she's headed towards
she's doing better than you ever did. I guess you were.
I mean, it was if she comes in third place, like that could be, you know, I have, you know, a case to make. But there comes that point where Sage is like, we have to vote out Steven. And Steven talks to Christina about it, and she's saying like, you know, I'm like, oh, well, we were talking about it, whether or not to go with you, and I was like, but I'm sticking with you. He's like, oh, really? You were considering? Like, she's like, no, that was just like part of the conversation, but I would never do that. It's like if I, you know, talk to my wife about like, well, I was, you know, I was thinking about seeing other people, but I'm not going to.
Obviously, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. We're obviously married. I'm not going to do that.
That bond is sacred, right?
Yeah. And Steven, good for him. He clocked it. And I think he knows what he has in Christina, and he called her a sloppy ally for him, but still felt good enough. But, you know, Rizzo and Savannah are never even considered. It's not even on the table of should we ever vote for each other. Like they're in it.
Do you think, I mean, I'm curious what will happen. Like, I feel like Savannah has to come to that realization that I need to vote out Rizzo. Like
I disagree.
You think Savannah wins immunity at 4, let's say. Is she taking Rizzo with her, or is she putting him in fire?
I think it's time to consider the idea of, what is it about Rizzo that people do not seem to be worried about him as a viable winner? That we have only heard people say, Savannah, it's Savannah, we have to get out Savannah. It's Rizzo's idol is a concern. And it's like, a lot of times it's because, well, he could play it for Savannah. But nobody really, I haven't heard, and maybe people will fact check me on this, and I welcome it, but I have not heard where people are like, well, if we don't get Rizzo, he's going to win the game. For whatever reason, people do not seem to be scared. I don't know if and I know he's not a kid. I think he's 26, but maybe he's 26, but reads as like 20.
He has very young kid energy. I mean, he really does. I mean, like, I can see him being in Savannah being like the same age, and truly have no idea. I mean, obviously easily checkable.
I think that they said last week Savannah was 31.
Okay. But like, you know, she seems, I mean, he does have this sort of like big goofy energy of, and very earnest, wears his heart on his sleeve, that I do think is tough. Like, have we ever seen like, I mean, even like Todd, obviously, you know, total kid, young guy, but like had this very real maturity around about him. I guess Fabio was a very kiddish, but he went, I don't know. I mean, anyway, it's hard to like,
but I don't think that it's even that he is, I would not call him immature, but he I think just presents like as a younger person than he actually is. And I don't know if there's just something about him where he's just too goofy or not coming across as serious, but he does not seem to be thought of as a viable threat to win the game. To us at home, I think we're saying, yeah, he could certainly win. But I kind of feel like that if he's there, and especially if Sophie ends up not on the jury, where if she's also one of the votes, where Nate is there, you have Sophie potentially there. Like I wonder if, I don't know, people might not vote for him.
Yeah. What do you think? Again, this is time 2, right, where he does the whole cinema element of not
God tier cinema.
Theatrically not playing his idol. Last time we had a lot of speculation about it being strategic and reading the room. This time he clearly goes up. He's not going to play his idol, right? He's like, makes a big show. What do they do with you? What do they do with you? He's thinking about it. Obviously, he's not going to play his idol. Nobody has any thought that he's going to play his idol. He keeps the idol for himself. Again, on the one hand, really good theater for the jury. He shows himself as this decision maker, as this person who's like constantly clocking the different strategic, permutations of the game. On the other hand, I mean, I do think there's a little bit like, it's like, I didn't like Coach stand up at Final Tribal or something. I mean, like, or at least he talked about it. I mean, like, it's one of these things that like seems like a good idea, but then when you're there in front of like 10 bitter, angry people, you're like, maybe I should show some respect. Maybe I shouldn't showboat here. What do you think? Like, is this good or net bad for him?
I think it was good because I think that was probably pre-orchestrated, that how he was going to do that, of what he was going to say. But I thought that what was really impressive, and I'll get back to your question. What was really impressive was that he was able to, in real time, sort of say like, okay, wait, hold on. What happened with your vote? What happened with, and then the three of them are so tight that they were able to compare notes before the idol play, which allowed him the opportunity to be able to like crunch the numbers in his head. But what's kind of messed up is like, I think that his read of it was that Sophie was going to go home.
Yeah.
And he was going to still keep the idol.
But that's the right call here.
It's the right call, but it's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow you can clown on the other people, but also Sophi B now knows you thought she was about to get voted out, and you didn't even need to play the idol on yourself. You saved it for yourself for the next round. So I think that if Soph is able to read things correctly, she should know the gloves are really off. I think she might know that that's what she needs to do. We thought that's what she needed to do, or she knew that coming into this one. To go back to your question about, is it bad to showboat in front of the jury? I don't know. I think it depends on what the jury thinks about you to start with. Where we saw in The Edge of Extinction, where Rick Devens was doing things and calling out Ron and doing stuff, and the jury ate it up because the jury was liking Rick Devens. So I think that,
but he was always doing stuff, right? He had like stuff to play. He had like moves to make. It wasn't just like, nah,
Yeah, but I think that but this is part of what he's going to say in his final tribal council speech, of that he was able to somehow 8 tribal councils. I didn't play this idol that I had to, and you all knew I had the idol. Nobody could flush it. I was able to use it in new and inventive ways that nobody ever was going to do before. I'm just trying to think of like the people on the jury. Is it a pro Rizzo jury? I think that Nate liked him. Jawan certainly had a bond with him. I'm not sure if the rest of the, as far as MC, Alex, so Yellow Sophie, I think that they're sort of like neutral on Rizzo.
Yeah. So it will be interesting. I mean, I do wish we would get a Rizzo Savannah final. I think that would be, honestly, let's like Rizzo. I mean, like Rizzo Savannah Sage would be perfect, right? At this point, I would love to see that trio. Even Rizzo Savannah Soph, I think would be fun to see. I think at this point, Soph probably does not have that winner equity, but I don't think Rizzo is making it to the end. I could be wrong, but I think Savannah is cutting him at I mean, not at 5, but at 4. I think she's
Okay,
paying
so okay, I guess that's the scenario I think we could agree on. I could see her saying, "Hey, Christina, like let's go to the finals,"
Yep.
and then, "Hey, Rizzo, we need you to beat the person who is the biggest competitor, like Sophi B or Sage. Beat them in fire."
Yeah, they don't do that in the ORGs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make
Nope,
fire.
they do not. And
Yeah.
so I could see her not dragging him to the end. I could see her saying like, "Hey, we really need you." And maybe she's afraid, okay, he could have a big moment in front of the jury potentially, but that is the scenario I could see her maybe. It might not even be a betrayal. Maybe he might say like, "Hey, put me into fire."
Yeah. Be interesting to see. I don't think I feel like if I'm Rizzo looking at myself, and again, like you're right, so much of like win equity is just like perception. It's right. Everyone's saying Savannah's going to win if she gets there. So like that's the narrative. So if Savannah gets there, then she has every reason that you might think she's going to win. But if I'm Rizzo and I'm looking at what I've done in this game, and like I can see all these people who really don't like Savannah and really will I think will be a tough pill to swallow for them to vote for her. I would be very happy to sit there at the end with her. Let's let Christina and Soph battle it out in fire. Like, let's let the two of us, we've come through this game together. Let's be there together.
And just
although she might at that point have a record. I always root for the records to be broken. I think there's a world where Savannah breaks the.
Was this 3 or 4 immunities?
This was
her?
3. So she has 2 more to win. I don't think it's crazy for her to win it. And
I mean, then it is a weak field for her to go up against here now that she had 2 big competitors to go up against in Yellow Sophie and Steven. They are both gone. I don't think that Sage gave her the biggest run for her money that Sage has given anybody in the challenges. So it seems like that seems to be Sage's strong suit. It looks like that in the preview, I saw at least like one big obstacle course. So I think Steven won the last one of those, or maybe it was Yellow Sophie, I think, won the last big obstacle course. So we'll see if somebody outside of Savannah is able to win that one.
I think my narrative is like, wouldn't it be fun if Savannah and Sage were in fire against each other? But my narrative is Sage is probably gone next, right? And then you have Rizzo versus maybe Soph in fire, and then probably Rizzo losing that in my mind. And then the final 3 is Soph, Savannah, Christina, and all these people who don't like Savannah still feel like of those 3, she is the right one to vote for.
I just want to talk it through in the thought exercise that is there a world where Christina, who, has been through a lot in the game, could the jury, she has a lot of friends on the jury.
Even Steven, her like number 1 bestie, says she's not playing this game. Your best allies are like, she's a sloppy player. I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe I don't know if anybody, right? Maybe she'll get a vote because, and then she'll have surpassed me too, not just you. But yeah, I don't think she's winning this game.
What about Sophie? Could she garner any votes from the jury?
I think it will be challenging against Savannah or Rizzo. Certainly now when she's like so publicly kind of had this like up in smoke.
Could Alex, hey,
maybe Alex would vote for her. Like any votes is a big standard. You're right. Like Alex could, like I could see Sage voting for her rather than like Rizzo or Savannah, just one, they seem to have, or other Sophie, I mean, I know, no way other Sophie's voting for, the real Sophie. No way. Right. I'm not going to give that to her.
Yeah. Fake Sophie is who I'm voting for to win.
That was a very fun exit confessional too. And she's like, "Oh no, I'm the other Sophie." You had a very good line in chat BCC. So she's now the Sophie that sucks.
The Sophie that sucks. And that's tough because she finished in 7th place, but that's such
she did great. I know she did great. And she was a big character in spite of like, Survivor Anon, where like that's had all these like conspiracy theories about her.
All right. Steven, what else from tonight's episode caught your attention?
I think we really hit all the good points. I mean, again, I do really want the loved one visit to come back. I mean,
can we talk a little bit about the letters? Because I feel like that it was certainly the classic like haves and have-nots of everybody had this wonderful night at the sanctuary and everybody was really getting attacked by rats and it was cold and it was raining. I was surprised. It didn't seem like the players back at the camp seem to care as much about the letters. And I was expecting that we would see Christina in this episode have like a full on like Maria not getting picked by Charlie crash out back at camp, but we didn't see that.
Yeah. And again, like I do think that this sort of, it makes the case of, you know, a lot of people say like, why would you take your allies on reward? You need to be shoring up your enemies and your relationships with your enemies. I feel like this is like the closing argument for why you take your allies on reward, you know, because that you've got to shore up those relationships, because people are going to be hurt when they're your allies and you don't take them on something like this. But your enemies like don't necessarily have a reason to, you know, expect that.
No, Savannah did a really good job here. And I feel like that maybe she didn't know what the advantages were, but I said that on a night where everybody made mistakes, I think that she actually had the best night. And so maybe we end up perhaps like when we get to awards, think about her, because this move that she makes of taking Soph, and again, was there much of a choice about it? But she didn't overthink it. She didn't do the thing where it's like, oh, well, Sage hasn't eaten recently, so I'm going to take her. And really, all roads led to Soph tonight. This was her night to win or lose the game. And she didn't even know she had the knowledge is power yet, but she was already talking about with the other people of, okay, maybe I'm going to swing over to the other side, because that Stevens vote block / steal loomed so large over this, where it was going to only be 5, or it was going to be, they thought it was going to be potentially 4-2 on this. And they didn't realize that, you know, it was actually just going to be a vote block. So it was going to be potentially a 3-2 swing if, or if she came over, I guess 4-1 swing if one of their votes got blocked. And so to bring her over, and then she reveals knowledge is power. She doesn't end up wavering. It ends up being such a good decision to take Soph with her.
Yeah. Really. I mean, because and again, like, I do think that's like, I think I don't think you're going to see at Final 6 someone like Christina saying, you know, and Christina sort of even said at Tribal Council, like, why didn't, you know, Savannah take me? Like, we could have worked together. You're not working with Savannah. Like, it doesn't matter how many tacos she gives you. Yeah. You're not working with Savannah. But like your ally, it was wavering, and you keep her with you. I have always been a proponent. And
yes, you have
for this of like, you got to bring the allies with you to make sure that those relationships are strong, because they're going to be the ones who are mad about it.
Yeah. Going back to in Survivor Second Chances, when you win the reward, who did you take with you?
Jeremy and Tosh. And I will stand by that decision, even though I was voting.
Now,
still think it was the right choice.
So you had a harder decision, because that was what was there 10 people in the game at that point?
9, I think.
There's a lot of people, a lot more enemies, as Star Toomey once said. My enemies are plotting.
Yeah.
And in this case, though, that the lines were so drawn so well that here it's like, yeah, sure, those 3 people are plotting against, we know that, like, of course they are. Who cares? But almost like an Operation Italy of like, okay, let's huddle up here. Let's have this time where nobody's going to bother us, where let's talk through our strategy of, because I think that's something that Andy has said about Operation Italy. Did I say Project Italy? I apologize. Operation Italy.
That's been a consistent, we've been calling it Project Italy.
I don't know.
Right?
It's not even like alliteration.
Yeah.
I think that, okay, Operation Italy, we'll call it, or is what they is. I'll burn that in my brain. Operation Italy. It was a time where they were never going to have that opportunity to be able to have just uninterrupted, 24 hours of brainstorming. Okay, let's talk through this scenario. Let's talk through this scenario. So I think that after that, I think it would be hard to fake it with them, and then my real plan is I'm going to steal Rizzo's idol and vote him out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's very fair. I wonder, like, let's do one more permutation here. Does he lose the game by telling Sage it's just a block of vote? Like, if Sage
does he lose the game by telling Sage about Christina's idol the first time?
Well, very, very maybe. But like, if Sage goes into that tribal council thinking it's a 2-vote swing rather than just a 1-vote swing, does she walk in expecting to vote for Sophie, even though obviously
so now Rizzo doesn't have a vote, so they're gonna have 4 votes. I think that they could still potentially do a 3-1-1 and still get Steven out, I believe, right?
I guess it was Sage, Soph, and Savannah are voting here,
or is it
versus Steven,
well, Steven's
and
stealing
Christina.
Rizzo's vote.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
on the revote, I don't know.
It would be a 3-2-1, I think, on in that scenario, where it would be, say, assuming that Steven put his 2 votes on Blue Sophie.
Yeah.
And then
at the tie, Sophie and Steven are immune, and then Sage goes home.
Yeah, but I don't think it would be a tie. It would be a 3-2-1.
Well, no, wouldn't it be 3-3? Because it's Steven, and Christina voting for Blue Sophie, and then we're saying Savannah.
Well, I think Christina was still going to go with Sage. If I'm following the scenario, if they could still vote him out, even
they could, but Christina was not planning on that, right? Christina was not in that plan. I'm saying, like, would Sage have gone into that tribal council? Maybe second guessing that, because if it was a 2-vote swing rather than a 1 vote, and of course, like, she would know that he didn't play a steal a vote, so she would have time to reconsider. But I don't think people reconsider that much at tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I think that Sage, as you said before, feels like I gotta leave this tribal council with either Rizzo, Savannah, or Steven going home. I gotta get rid of those 3, and so. Hey, this is still good. Like, sure, let Steven steal Savannah's vote or Rizzo's vote if Sage, Sophie, and Christina all vote for Steven, that they're still going to get Steven.
Well, no, but in that world, not to belabor this, but I'm clearly belaboring this. Christina's not voting for Steven, right? Christina's still voting with Steven for Blue Sophie. So we've got Steven voting, Rizzo stolen vote voting, and Christina voting for Blue Sophie, as Sage thinks it walking into that tribal council. Conversely, you have Savannah and Sophie voting for Steven. So is Sage going to go into that and join that group to make it a tie, or is she just going to, like, do 4 on Blue Sophie? Whatever. I mean, it's,
I think that Sage feels like she needs Christina, so she's going to be on the same page as Christina no matter what.
But she wasn't here.
Yes, she was.
Wait, Christina voted?
Christina voted out Steven.
Oh, wait, he did? Oh, wow, you're right. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay.
I mean, look, I was just as shocked as you were. I
That's so funny. 45 minutes into this podcast,
I couldn't believe it. I was stunned when Jeff is like, "All right, that's one vote, Steven, one vote,
right.
one vote, Sophie,
like 2 votes,
and
Steven,
that's 2 votes, Steven." I'm like,
yeah,
"All right," and I really expected the other 2 votes to be, or the next votes to be, for Sophie, and he's like, "Steven." The tribe is spoken. Like, what?
Yeah. Wow. So it was unanimous. That's wild. It's so funny.
It was. I mean, it's crazy.
What's funny, because you know what? I can't believe that I've, like, gone this far and just, like, not even thought about that. What's funny is that at the start of the episode, they're all like, we did a unanimous vote, but that's never going to happen again. Like, this group will never have a unanimous vote again. And what cinema at the end of the episode?
God tier cinema. It was a 4-1 vote.
It's another unanimous vote to get out the big threat. Very funny. I didn't put that together. Wow.
Steven should have blocked Christina's vote.
Yeah.
Can I say, I will say that I don't know if this is, and it's always like a tricky game to sort of, like, get in the heads of the producers. Knowledge is power. 0 for 4. Okay, we've had it 4 times.
But a lot of drama. A lot of drama.
Rooney. And what I've always said is, like, hey, I hate knowledge is power, but it's always going to give you good TV. And so 4 times out, 4 times flop. Is there a knowledge is power curse?
Oh, wow, interesting.
But I think that's going to make them more likely to bring it back. But then, that being said, so with the knowledge is power ending up working out the way it did, Steven's vote block gets played on the beach before you go to tribal council. Steven has to tell a producer, I'm blocking Savannah's vote tonight. He tells us in the episode, the die is cast. I've played my advantage. To have an advantage that works, that the game mechanics of this advantage, I feel like is a little bit like weak sauce.
I don't love it either. I like, with an extra vote, you got another parchment. Even with a steal a vote, like, there's the mechanic of, like, I'm taking your parchment, and I'm like, I mean, that's not actually what happens, because you also have an extra parchment. But, like, I don't love that, like, the producer element of it. I've never liked that. I didn't like it. Like, I don't like it with the other part of knowledge is power, where, like, you're not allowed to lie. I don't like that. I don't love, like, when there is this sort of artificial component of like this secret thing happening only through the machinations of the production team.
I understand the reasoning is that, but you're blocking the vote anonymously. Everybody knows Steven has the advantage. Like, what is the point of it being an anonymous advantage of that? Okay, he already played it. So, I mean, would it have been better or worse if so let's say he does have the block a vote. She takes his block a vote and then blocks his vote. I don't know. And then he ends up going home. I guess it was such a crazy tribal council. I do think a lot of times that they want the advantages to flop. So I don't know if this is why they specifically had, let it be a block a vote, because that could be an advantage where if you had the knowledge is power, you could screw it up. And that would be exciting if it would happen that way. But I just don't know why the block a vote needs to be so anonymous when we're giving it out at the final 7, when everybody knows Steven went and got an advantage.
And, they have Savannah last, right? She's obviously seated in that last seat because her vote is blocked. They should have, here's how it should work. Steven should go into the voting booth, pick out a parchment and rip it up. So when Savannah gets up there, there's not enough even parchment left for her to use.
Do they have extra in case you make a mistake, or is there only enough?
I've never seen that, actually. Like, what would the mistake be?
Yeah, but there must be some sort of like in between voting, because they put in like that you do not have a vote. So there must be some way that they.
No, I'm sure they've got them there. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like keeping the metaphor
that's
alive.
interesting in terms of like the advantage being like, okay, you go in first and you have like some sort of like ability to block the vote in the booth of like your red parchment block Savannah.
Right. Yeah.
And then when she goes up, it's like your vote has been blocked. But I don't know if maybe they're worried that tribal councils are like, well, I guess it's the same thing. She already got it. She goes up there and it's like your vote is blocked.
Yeah. Just right blocked. Yeah. I like that. He's got to write it out. That's very fun. I mean, I've heard other people argue very persuasively that the problem with knowledge is power is that it makes people not share information about advantages, which is a big source of drama on the show, both in terms of people building alliances around advantages and, more relevantly, people screwing each other over because of advantages.
Yeah.
And so
I must have missed all the seasons of Survivor where they stopped telling each other about their advantages.
No, but they did. They really like people play it closer to the vest. I mean, I think it's opened up a little bit.
When?
No, there's been a lot of times when people have like just had these.
Who?
I don't know. I mean,
Marianne didn't tell people about her idol in season 42.
Yeah, there you go.
She didn't even know about the knowledge is power. She didn't even know it existed.
We don't know. Don't put that on Marianne. I bet she knew.
She didn't know that. They only did in season 41. She didn't.
Maybe someone told her. Maybe she got advanced screeners.
I'm trying to think if there's like another notable time of when somebody pulled out. I guess
Jacob
Kane.
Wentworth out of the sock. A lot of like, that's obviously pre-knowledge is power.
But that was before it was invented.
Yeah, but time is a flat circle.
I mean, there are not Rachel in season 47 ends up dropping the idol at the final 6 in a big blindside. So, but other than that, people are so loosey goosey with all the advantages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those other people who make that point are clearly wrong. I never made that. I was just citing other people. Who made
all right. Well, let me talk about how loosey goosey I am with being excited for the new novel from Stephen Fishbach, Escape.
So this is exciting. Barnes & Noble is doing a merch promotion for Escape. If you order the book from barnesandnoble.com, you will be entered, like any edition, audiobook, I believe, digital, ebook, or obviously hardcover. You will be entered to win this whole set of Escape merch, which P.S. I love this hat. I am going to wear this hat, like this Escape hat, assuming I win the merch contest. The Escape shirt, a special bookmark. It says Escape into a good book. And of course the book Escape, and $100 gift card from Barnes & Noble. So if you haven't bought Escape yet, this is the opportunity to do it through barnesandnoble.com. And if you buy the hardcover copy and you email me at escapefishback@gmail.com, which will be in the show notes, I think. Sam, can you put it in the show notes? Then you will still be eligible to also get the map that Eric Reichenbach is designing. So very excited. I've had a lot of map orders, but there are still some copies available. So it's not too late. Buy the book, have the map, et cetera, et cetera.
You know who else had an unbreakable final two? Barnes and Noble. Nobody could get between them.
Nobody
could. Yeah. People tried, and they said, listen, Barnes, you're not going to beat Noble. In the end, he said, I don't care.
Yeah, Chris Noble, he had no Barnes, right? Isn't that what Wendell said about him?
Yeah, you're right. That's good. Put the pen down.
Yeah.
Stop writing. Okay. All right. Steven, let's talk about an interesting week to give out the Fishy. It's not Taco Tuesday, but I think Tres Leche should have been the name of the episode.
Yeah, I didn't love God Tier Cinema as the name of the episode. It just felt like
that would have been better. Also, it was the die is cast.
That's really bad.
More like the cast is die.
Yeah. 3 contenders, I think, this week for the Fishy. First of all, I think you have to say that Savannah's decision to bring Sophi on reward was probably one of the biggest game-changing decisions of the whole season. It ends up cementing their relationship. Sophi, who was considering playing her knowledge as power to take Rizzo's idol, which would have, sort of potentially completely eliminated Savannah's number one ally, although obviously not Savannah herself, instead is so seethingly smitten by Savannah that she decides to stick with this trio till the end. Yeah. And instead, the only thing is like, Rizzo is actually probably Savannah's biggest competition. So like, do you really want to keep him in the name? Anyway, it is a really big
turning on her.
Yeah. It's a big move.
Sometimes the best decisions are the easy ones. We talked about last week where, Steven was in this same position and he said, you know what? I got to take my number one girl, Christina. She played the idol on me. I owe her. And then for my next person, Rizzo hasn't eaten. Come on, Rizzo, get in here. But why not take Sage? Yeah. Why not say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take Sage. We could have seen this happen last week with, where Steven, Christina, and Sage lock in. Hey, I feel good about this. This is our final 3. Maybe Sage isn't necessarily plotting against Steven this week.
They could have been the Trey sandwiches or whatever the reward was last week.
Yeah. And maybe Sage is feeling good about working with Steven and Christina.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I do think that like people, I think that makes a difference.
We saw Sophi B was wavering and then she broke bread with them. It's like, I can't, I love these guys. These are my people. I can't do this. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that says that like it couldn't have happened with Sage and where she sticks with Christina she did stick with Christina and stick with Steven.
Yeah. All right. Option number 2 is the Riz God. P.S. Like they've really like taken down the Riz God stuff, which has been nice. Like, we're still getting the God Tier Cinema, but we're not getting the all the spelling. Really great move, convincing everybody for weeks that his idol works into the only here. It basically keeps him safe in a situation where there really might have been a lot of pressure to vote him out. And so he skates through this tribal council and then has got this idol to play on himself at final 5. Guaranteeing himself in the final 4 and a shot through fire making, presumably at the final 3. And then, go ahead.
Rizzo, to me, has, week after week proven himself to me to be like one of the most inventive survivor minds that we've seen, old era or new era, that he really is somebody who is constantly just as Steven said a couple of weeks ago, his wheels are always turning. He's going to try to throw stuff at the wall. It's not always going to work, but I just think that he has this incredible survivor mind and he's just going to constantly be trying to push the envelope, and he is playing hard to win. I didn't get to say this earlier, but if it comes down to it, like I could see himself putting himself into the final 4 fire to say, hey, it doesn't matter if I come in 4th or 5th or 3rd. I'm here to win.
Yeah. And third option is Sage. I think coming out of that episode, the gut instinct is so much like, how could you turn on Steven? You're so screwed. And I do think there's a very good possibility that she goes out at 5 because of this move. But I think in terms of Sage's chance to win the game, she had to get out one of Steven, Rizzo, or Savannah this episode. Yeah. Savannah's immune. She thinks Rizzo's immune. Voting out Steven, the tough choice, but I think the right one for Sage here.
It is interesting that would be, I think, very much a counterintuitive Fishy for Sage, where I know you like to do that, where I think that most people like myself are watching like, no, what are you doing? And, like, even the jury was like, what? They voted out Steven? Why? But if in terms of like the person who went to tribal council and executed their plan tonight, it was Sage. Like, Sage was the one person who went and like did what they thought they were gonna do.
But do you agree with me? It's the right move. Like, for her to vote out Soph here is a game-losing move, because then
yes, I hear what you're saying. Like, but it kind of goes back to like Steven last week, and I think that maybe Steven might have lost the game last time out, where it's like, hey, if I'm giving my enemies what they want, if I'm on the same page as my enemies, probably not good for me. And I think that for Sage, I think like, okay, if my enemies are Rizzo and Savannah, also, this is probably not the best move for me, but I definitely understand. I thought you made a great point about her win condition being only that she can beat two people. And so it doesn't matter what order the rest of the people go out.
So I'm giving it to Sage here, Rob, because I know that I'm going to get flack for this. People are going to be like, what are you talking about? She turned on her best ally. She's going to be out at 5. She probably will be out at 5. Yeah. I truly believe this is the correct move for Sage here. I think it was, and it's also, like you said, like, this is the tough move, because like everybody else kind of, I mean, Rizzo's move of like laying the groundwork for this idol, I think is really brilliant.
Yeah.
But I've certainly given Rizzo a lot of credit for these kind of moves across the season. And that was not necessarily just this episode. This was a tough move for Sage to vote out someone she's been really close with. And, you know, to your point at the very start of the game of this episode of Know-It-Alls, you know, where is this Sage emotional player? She is like putting that on the back burner because she's so close to the end. She's becoming the strategic player she needs to be. And if she wins the game, it is because of this decision here.
Yeah, and so if anybody has any issues with that, a great place where you can leave feedback for Steven, go to StevenFishbach.com.
BarnesandNoble.com, you know, hit Escape, show me the what for.
Yes, there's a notes section where after you purchase the book, you're able to leave any feedback you want. Yeah. All right, let's talk about what else we have going on. Of course, all of our friends are over on Chat BCC, where it was lit tonight once again. Everybody was worked up about the brand new episode. See what all the survivors are saying. When you go to Chat BCC, go to robbinswebsite.com/VIP chat for that. I'll be back on Friday with our patrons. We have such great strategic conversations. The patrons have amazing strategic questions. We've been talking about how this final 6 vote could have gone so many different ways. I don't think we saw how it went. We never envisioned a scenario where Steven went home, but we'll talk about it all coming up on Friday, 3 p.m. And of course, check out everything else we have going on in our Survivor feed over at WeKnowSurvivor.com. The Amazing Race finale is happening as we speak. And so I will be back with Mike and Jess to talk about everything from the Amazing Race 38 finale, plus exit interviews with the final 4 teams. And then, Steven, what's this?
It's a new episode
of Clock Tower?
Survivors Play Blood on the Clock Tower. I am the demon, as you might be able to gauge from this thumbnail. We have Annika and Caroline from Survivor 47 amongst our other wonderful cohort of Survivor players. This has been out for about a week. People have been saying it's their favorite episode ever that we've done. There are some really fun moments, like truly like insane moments in this one. So if you are at all interested in watching anybody, let alone survivors, play Blood on the Clock Tower, this is the YouTube video for you.
All right. And then, of course, Robin's podcast were nominated for an award at the American Reality Television Awards. You could vote at robinswebsite.com/vote. And of course, you could check out all of my Survivor knowledge all in one place. I've taken 25 years of Survivor history and brought it all together in one beautiful addition to any Survivor fans collection. Go to robhasabook.com and check out my brand new book coming out later on in 2026, but you could pre-order today at robhasabook.com. And if you want to give it as a gift, we've got a postcard that we'll send you so you can give it to your loved ones, a loved ones letter and give it to them with tacos, and it'll go over amazingly. All right, Steven, anything else from you?
No, just can't believe we're at the end of the season almost. Really excited for
Next
the finale.
Wednesday night, join
Yeah.
us for our finale coverage. And of course, I'll have our final 5 exit interviews as well next week. And of course, a big preview of what season is the next one? Was it 49? So I guess the next one's what, 50?
46? Oh, 50.
50 coming up. So, okay, big week coming up. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.